Hello again. Right now I'm going to show you a relatively new pedal by the Hartman company, and this is called the Hartman Analog Flanger. And it caught my eye because what it is, it's a sort of direct sonic replica of the old Electric Mistress flanger by Electro-Harmonix, which I particularly like, and I thought it would be nice to get a hold of one of these and then compare them side by side, do a little bit of an A-B comparison between the Hartman and the Electric Mistress. This is the Hartman Analog Flanger that we're going to be concentrating on though, but just before we do, I'd like to explain a little bit about how I ended up coming to buy this pedal. About 30 years ago, when I was very young and I did my first ever gig, somebody lent me one of these. It's the deluxe version of the Electric Mistress, which is mains power that plugs directly into the wall. And even then, when I was young, I really liked it, and I liked it because it sounded like Andy Summers from The Police. So I used it for my first ever gig, and then I had to give it back. And it was a couple of years later, I found this very flanger in a second-hand shop. I think I bought it for about a tenner. And I noticed immediately that it was a little bit smaller, and also that it ran from two 9-volt batteries. And then I also learned that it was the battery version that Andy Summers had actually used, and also Dave Gilmour of Pink Floyd, and also Keith Levine from Public Image Limited, who was one of my early heroes. So in the days when you could still buy them cheap, I ended up buying two more. So with 3 of them in my possession, I now know a little bit about them, and I learned a few things. The first thing I learned, other than the fact that it runs on 2 batteries, is that when you turn the effect on, you get a slight reduction in volume, about 10-15% drop in volume, which is obviously not very practical. It drops you out of the mix when you're playing a gig, I suppose. So the 3 that I own, I've had to subsequently do the volume loss mod, and to eradicate the volume loss. I also learnt that there weren't true bypass, so I've replaced the 3-foot switches with true bypass switches. I've changed the DC socket to the more practical barrel type. And the other thing I've learnt is that they are a little bit fragile. If you're going to take them out and gig them, you kind of got to wrap them in cotton wool, and also there's a danger that because they're collectible now, it could end up getting damaged or stolen or something. So I ended up retiring them, and subsequently been using other flangers, which I was never as impressed with until I heard about the Hartman flanger, which is relatively new on the market. And I read about it and discovered that someone was making a direct copy of the battery-powered Electric Mistress, which is this thing here. And that's what we're going to hear compared to the original Electric Mistress. Just before we do that though, I'll quickly show you around the Hartman flanger. It's got a true bypass foot switch and an LED, which is really handy because you don't get that on the original Mistress. It's got the same 3 controls: speed, depth, which is called range on the Electro-Harmonix, but it's the same thing, and colour, and the flange or filter matrix switch. Filter matrix is just what happens there is that the flange stops sweeping, it's frozen, and you can get some good filtering effects by adjusting the dials. We'll try and hear a little bit of that in the demonstration. So if I just take the back off this, you can see how well it's made and how well it's constructed, especially compared to the Electric Mistress, which when you get the early ones are incredibly, well, they were mass produced, let's just put it that way, and the wiring's never the best, and they're a little bit unreliable. But this, as you can see, it's got metal film resistors, and I think it's got the same delay chips that the original had. Some nice neat little trim pots, not like the big ones in the original that you could easily accidentally adjust if you were inside changing the battery. And this one also runs off 9 volts, which is a bit of a miracle. Rather than requiring 2 batteries, you only need to use 1, or you can just mains it up with the barrel type mains DC socket there as well. So all in all, it's very well constructed, and it sounds incredibly close, if not identical, to the original. So we'll compare the two of them now, so leave a comment and tell me what you think. And here it comes then, the Hartman Analog Flanger.